My little girl she was perfect when I had her, but now she's going through all this pain and I can't even help her. She was in that coma for 5 days. And that was the worst 5 days of my life. I have 3 kids, but the birth of my first child really stands out because I feel like I have not come out of that pregnancy or that delivery till date. I had my first baby 2015 and it was a smooth pregnancy. You know, when you have that first pregnancy, you're excited, you can't wait to have your baby and all the butterflies of having a first child. And it was really amazing for me to experience. I couldn't wait for the delivery, and when I was told it was going to be in March, that was like, wow, that's nice, because my husband is March as well. I was like, okay, maybe the first baby will be his birth mate, and then it's a perfect match made in heaven. Okay. Fast forward to March 10th, my husband's birthday. I went into labor 11 in the morning, and my greatest joy was like, this baby is going to be born on this day and everything is going to be fine. But labor proceeded till March 11th the next day. It was the most painful thing I have ever experienced or imagined in my life. But I was mentally ready for that pain because I had read through it, I had watched videos on births, and I was very ready to experience everything. My doctors told me everything was fine, the baby was okay, I was doing well. The pain was progressing as it should, and everything was fine. My husband on the other side was very nervous and was worried why I wasn't screaming like every other woman that was in labor at that hospital at that time, but I was just taking it slow. At 12 midnight, my doctor came and said, there's no way this baby is going to be born on your husband's birthday, it's going to be the next day, so you're going to need to sleep and wake up. I said, sir, I don't want to sleep. I want to deliver. I don't want to sleep. At that point, I didn't even realize my labor was still in the later, like the mild stage. And fast forward to, at about 5 a.m. in the morning, that was when I knew, yes, I'm in labor. I could barely talk, and at this point I was begging the doctor that I need to sleep now. That sleep you told me then, I want to sleep now. He said there's no way you can sleep at this point. You need to deliver your baby. And about 6:59 or 6:58, I was fully dilated, 10 cm. Went in for delivery, and after about 20-30 minutes, Trinity was born. It was beautiful. The nurses commended me and said, oh, you did as if it wasn't your first baby. I barely had a tear, which most women are scared of for their first babies. I got up from the delivery room and I walked to my room myself. Everyone was surprised. I was happy. Finally, I had my baby. It was a beautiful baby girl. My husband was ecstatic. I could hear him making calls and calling everybody, you know? And little did I know my life was about to change. I looked at her, she was beautiful, she was perfect. And I asked the doctor when I could be discharged because I felt strong. I didn't feel like I just delivered. The whole joy of having my own child was beyond me, and I just wanted to go home and just bask in all of that. And I was told I'll be discharged the next day. So by the next day, I asked the nurse, I said, this girl's eyes are a bit brownish, they're not like pure white. She said, oh, don't worry, it's usually like that, it will clear. The daddy's eyes are not even pure white. I said, okay, no problem. They pierced her ears and we went home. And there was no one with me. There was no mother, nobody to bat the child. I had not bathed a newborn before. I took her in, I bathed her the best that I could using YouTube videos, and that was fine. 2 days later, my mom came, which was like 4 days after birth. And my mom said, this girl is jaundiced. I said, no. She said, this girl is jaundiced. I called my doctor and I said, my mom is saying the baby is jaundiced. And the doctor said, oh, it's physiological jaundice, which would leave after about 7 or 8 days. The baby should be fine. It's not a big deal. Go to the pharmacy and get antibiotics for the child. And we did that. At the point where my husband was bringing the antibiotics into the room, my daughter convulsed. I'd never seen a baby convulse, let alone a 5-day-old baby. I had never seen it. I didn't know it was convulsion. I just knew that she was jerking, and you could see just the white part of her eyes only. I remember screaming, Jesus, what's going on? And my mom is like, we need to go to the hospital. My husband is fidgeting. Tears was just running down my eyes because I didn't even understand what was happening. All I knew was I just had a baby and everything is fine. I could not live in the moment of something happening to my child. And we rushed to the hospital. You know when it's like the whole world is walking around or against you at the same time? That's exactly how it was that day, because the traffic in Lagos that day was mad. So to get to the hospital, it was crazy. I just wrapped my baby. My mom carried her, and I was begging every taxi I could get, please, I need to take my baby to the hospital. Some taxis didn't want to stop because maybe they felt the baby was already dead. One finally stopped, and we got in, and when he saw what was happening to the baby and the way she was, you know, convulsing like every 5 minutes, he was very scared, and somehow he just started looking for the shortest cut to get to the hospital, beat every traffic, was screaming, please, we're like, it's an emergency. And we got to the hospital and the doctor said, your baby is convulsing. I'm like, how? Where? I had her 3.2 kg. So when we got her to the hospital that day and they weighed her, she was 2.4. I didn't know where the whole weight went. I didn't understand whatever it is that was happening, and then all I could see was doctors and nurses just running around with the baby, fixing all sorts of things, and boom, my baby went into a coma. And the doctors kept telling me, everything is going to be fine. Your baby is going to be fine. Go to the dispensary, get this drug, get that drug. And I was getting everything that they were asking me for, but I just didn't understand what was going on. And the next thing, they gave us a room. They fixed her under phototherapy. They put her into this bed with these lights on top of her. She was completely naked with just a diaper on. They were fixing all sorts of things in her body, and I didn't understand that. My little girl she was perfect when I had her, but now she's going through all this pain and I can't even help her. She was in that coma for 5 days. And that was the worst 5 days of my life. Throughout my pregnancy, my legs were not even swollen because I was very active. But for that 5 days, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. As much as the nurses and the doctors were telling me, you need to eat, you need to drink, because when this girl wakes up, you're going to have to breastfeed. All that wasn't getting to me. All I could do was sit next to that phototherapy machine and look at this girl lifeless. You could see her breathing, but she wasn't moving. My husband was going back and forth from the house to the hospital every day. It was a complete mess. People were calling, take heart, all will be well, be strong. I didn't understand one thing that was happening. I didn't understand it. Like, that's the best way to say it. Every morning, the nurses will come, they will clean her up, wear her a diaper, and leave her there again. And I was told to just watch and monitor her till she wakes up. I remember the day she woke up. It was the 5th day. It was 4:40 in the morning, early hours of the morning. She woke up. And I remember shouting, "Doctor, doctor, my baby is up, my baby is up." But she doesn't have any emotions. She's not crying, she's not moving, she's just there. And my doctor came and said, Madam Joy, what's wrong with you? I said, she's up, look at her, she's up. But she's supposed to be crying. She should do something. And my doctor carried her, held both feet together, tapped the feet, and she cried. And the doctor said, "You wanted her to cry, now she's crying. So go and pet her, go and breastfeed her." And at that point, because I wasn't eating or drinking, there was nothing to breastfeed her with. So I had to start giving her like formula, using a syringe to give her. And I was like, okay, finally everything is going to be fine. She will be okay, and we would go home. They needed to run a couple of tests on her to make sure everything was fine, because they said she had sepsis, neonatal sepsis, jaundice, and then of course she was in a coma for 5 days, so they needed to make sure she was back completely. We did everything. At this point, I wasn't in a hurry to leave the hospital like I was when I just delivered. I wanted everything to be perfect. And after 7 days, we were discharged and asked to return 2 weeks later for checkup. I took this girl home, and she would cry morning, afternoon, night. I would breastfeed for hours. It got to a point my mom said, "It seems like there's nothing coming out from your breast for her. That's why she's like on that breast. Give her baby food." I said, "I don't want to give her baby food. I want to give her the best. After everything she's been through, I want her to have the best. I want her to be okay." And my mom kept ringing into my head, "You needed to give this girl food. She's so small now. She has lost a ton of weight and she needs to get it back." I wasn't listening to any of that. 2 weeks later, we went for checkup, and the doctor said, "If you want to give her formula, you can go ahead." I said, "Okay." Now that I've heard it from the mouth of the doctor, it makes sense. I'm going to give her formula. But we were not sleeping. You know when they say new babies don't sleep? That is like an understatement compared to what I was passing through. This girl doesn't sleep. She cries the whole house down. She is screaming. There's nothing you do to console her that works. People were like, she has colic. I tried all the techniques I could see online, all the gripe water, everything. It wasn't working, and I was a complete mess. Everything I thought was perfect, my life that I thought was good, took a complete 360 turn after I had this girl. I couldn't go out, because you go out with her, she's screaming. People are looking at you like, just calm that baby down. And you know there's nothing you can do about that. I remember an incident. I took her for 10 weeks immunization, and she was crying in the bus when I was coming back. She was crying so bad that the bus driver had to stop and be like, "Madam, carry your baby and come down. Go and pet that baby." I was crying. I was embarrassed. I was stressed out. I didn't know what to do. At 3 months, I discovered her iris, this black thing, was very low. I said, "We've not recovered from what happened." I took her back to the hospital. And the doctor said, yes, she was too young to have convulsed. So that affected the eyes. And it's going to correct itself after a while. After a while, didn't have a defined time frame. So I'm to live with it. And then you bring this baby out. People are looking at her like, what's wrong with her eyes? Why is she like that? So I will go over the story again. Oh, this is how I had her, and she convulsed, and they said this. It became a memory verse, basically, because I had to keep citing it for everybody that asked. And that was beginning to affect me. I see people take their babies out and they're happy, they're having fun, but it wasn't happening for me. It got to a point where I said I can't even take her out unless it's a medical stuff. I can't take her out. At that point, we started going from hospital to hospital in Lagos State. I remember going to LASUT, private hospitals, opticians, for the eyes, everybody. One optician told me, you will come back when she's 2 for surgery. So I'm like, is she going to remain like this till she's 2? He said yes. I'm like, okay, I'm really in for it. And you know, nobody talks about how having a child affects your relationship with your partner. It puts things on a downside. You guys don't talk anymore. You guys don't laugh anymore. It's all about the problem. And my husband is a very sensitive person. So I tend to shield things away from him because I don't want him to, you know, like become all sensitive and like what's going on. So most times when I go to the hospital, I don't tell him the full details because I don't want him to get too worried. At 3 months plus, I took her to LASUT and I saw a pediatrician who told me, Madam, your daughter has CP. Cerebral Palsy. I'm like, from where? I looked through my family, there was nothing like that. I looked through my husband's family, there was nothing like that. Where was this coming from? How? Immediately he told me CP, my heart broke. I immediately saw a life I had never imagined. But I said it's not possible, it's not my child. He said, you're lucky it's a mild CP. Everything is going to be fine. She just needs mild physiotherapy once in a while and she'll be fine. I said, okay, the fact that you're telling me is mild means I'm not going to live a life with a child that is going to be disabled. He said, yes. We went for physiotherapy class. I looked through the entire class and I said, my daughter is different. She's different from every child here, which means she has a better chance of coming out of this. All I did was keep a positive mindset and I never allowed whatever it is that was happening to affect me. It got to a point where I said I wasn't going to physiotherapy classes. I believe that's what they call denier syndrome. You refuse to accept what is in front of you. You're basically denying what you can see. I was only confessing positive things for my daughter. I could only see positive things for her. It took her a whole year to sit. That year felt longer than a year. It felt like 2 years. Constant physiotherapy, constant massage. Is it prayers? People that love you come and they tell you do this. You go for it because you love your child and you want things to be better. At the same time, you don't want them to judge you that you have this kind of problem, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do. We were running from one pastor to one hospital, one pastor to one hospital, back to back, before she finally sat at 1 year. After 1 year, we now employed a private physiotherapist who was coming to the house to massage her. And it's very painful to witness a full-grown adult on a little child, and they say they're helping out. It's heartbreaking. Most of the sessions, my husband will not be able to sit there, but of course I have to stay there and hold her through it. And that shaped my entire life up till now. I can't walk. I remember putting her in a crutch when she was about 2. And where the particular spot I drop her in the morning is where I will meet her when I come back, which means they were not taking care of her. And it's heartbreaking. My daughter loves life. My daughter loves to play. She loves to, be with other children, do what other children are doing. But she doesn't understand why she can't. And not everyone is patient enough to sort of help out. And when you know you're leaving your child at the mercy of others and they're not going to be like you to that child, it breaks you. Whatever it is that you leave her to go and concentrate on, you really can't concentrate. You really can't do it. So you end up just being a mess of yourself the whole day. And when that went on for a while, I said, you know what? This girl is not going to this place anymore. They were treating her wrongly to a point where she contracted a throat infection. And my husband said, this girl is not going to the crèche anymore. You're going to have to be at home with her 24/7. I was ready to do that, believing maybe in 6 months' time, maybe in a year time, she'll be different. She can walk, she can talk. She can basically live her life. And because of that, we didn't want to have other babies because I felt like I had not moved on from her. She's not doing stuff that she's supposed to do. It would be unfair to have other babies and move on with other babies. And the fear of, what if it happens again? What if I have another child and it's the same thing? It was so scary, and they kept talking us into having another baby because it was going to help her seeing a child at home that is doing stuff, and then she will learn to do those things. I had my second baby, but throughout the pregnancy, I lived with the fear of something is going to go wrong. I think I did about 30 scans when I had my second baby because if I feel a headache, I'm rushing to the hospital to do a scan to make sure the baby is fine. And I had my second child and everything was fine. She sat before 3 months. She walked at 10 months. It was just like everything I couldn't experience with my first, I could experience it with her. But I felt bad because here I am being happy and like moving forward with this one, but with her, I'm not able to experience that. So I can't really give this second child everything that I want to give her because I feel like I'm neglecting one. And that's tough. And every day I ask myself, are her younger ones continually going to live in the shadow of her? Am I going to deprive them of stuff just so that she doesn't feel bad? How long am I going to continue like this? How long am I going to just live with this pain? Because it's a lot of pain. A whole lot of pain. You see your child suffering and there's really nothing much you can do that you're not already doing. There are some things that you can do, but the finances are not there. You can't, what can you do? And you're just there. You know, some days are good, some days are just there. But it's like you're taking each day as it comes. You can't really plan and be like, I want to do this next week, I want to do this next month, because you don't know how it's going to go. Something can happen. You can't leave her with anybody. You know, you can sort of leave regular kids with your neighbors and go out and do stuff. But for me, it doesn't happen like that. It's either my husband is at home to be with the kids or I'm not going anywhere. It's hard. It has shaped my life to a point where I see a pregnant woman and I'm quickly telling her, make sure this doesn't happen, make sure your child is not jaundiced, make sure your child doesn't convulse. Those are words that are like normal thing to me now. CP, convulsion, all that stuff that I never thought of. It breaks my heart when I see children her age. And I'm like, this could have been her. Every time I feel like maybe there's something I did wrong during the pregnancy. Maybe there's something I didn't do during the delivery. I could have stayed in the hospital much longer. Why did I rush out of the hospital after just 2 days of birth? I could have stayed longer. Maybe this would have been avoided. You just live in that. And there's nothing really that you can do. And then with the whole way we live in Nigeria, everybody has to be strong. They tell you everybody get waiting in the past. True. Everybody has a problem. So you have to be strong for yourself. You have to be strong for your child. You have to be strong for your family. You break down as a woman, the home breaks down. They tell you a woman makes a home. And that's true to a large extent. You carry the baby, you birth the child, you take care of all the responsibility. As much as your partner can be supportive, everything is really on you, and it's tough. The way I saw my life going into motherhood is not exactly how it played out. It's not how I see it or how I thought I saw it. Now I have 2 healthy kids and 1 that I'm still battling with. And it's just tough. That's the best words to use. It's tough. You go, social media doesn't even help all these things. You go on social media, you don't even see anything that compares to what you're living with. Nobody shows their reality. It's all edited pictures and stuff to get likes and whatever. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody shows what it feels like to be a mom. There's a lot that goes into having children. There's a lot that goes into raising children. And there's a lot more that goes into raising children with special needs. Like I said in the beginning, I feel like I've not come out of her pregnancy because I'm still carrying the burden. I'm still carrying the pain. So it's like I'm still in labor. Nothing has changed. Every year when it's that date, I relive the whole experience. Like from giving birth, going to the house, rushing her back to the hospital, everything. It flashes back every time. And it's not the healthiest way to live or to be a parent. You're always scared something is going to go wrong. You're always scared it could get worse. You're constantly looking for a cure, even when they say there's no cure. You're constantly looking for that miracle, believing that a miracle can happen. And that's where I draw my strength every day. I see my daughter and I believe there's going to be a miracle. I see her and I believe I'm going to stand with her and share the story. And people are going to be like, are you serious? That is the mindset that has helped me live every day. That is the mindset that has helped me come this far. That's the mindset that has helped me not go insane. Because trust me, there are nights when you just want to scream. You just want to cry. You just feel like it's not fair. And nobody gives you the kind of support that you even need. Nobody cares. Everybody just tells you, be strong. Everything will be fine. Forget all this stuff. It will be fine. And you sort of move on like that and live like that and encourage yourself, So that's my story. I'm being strong for me. I'm being strong for my daughter. And believing that all will be well. Believing that date I had her is soon going to be a date I would remember and be excited. Because if you go through what I have been through, you can't really be excited about that date. You wish you can go back and change things. You wish you can go back and do something. But there's nothing you can do. This is it. This is your life now. And there's a way people see you because you have a special needs child. For a long while, it made me doubt myself. I felt like a failure. I felt this was the first thing I was supposed to do in my life and do well. You see people deliver every day that don't even have care. They don't have the best of hygiene. Their kids come out fine. They don't have health issues. And you look at yourself and you be like, I went through antenatal. I didn't miss a single appointment of antenatal. There was nothing that I was told to do that I didn't do. Why did it have to be like this? Why couldn't it be normal? But there are no answers, are there? You're just left with your reality and you have to live with it. I don't know. I never saw motherhood like that. All I saw was you go through pregnancy, you have your babies, you move on, your child is fine, you're fine, you have a career, and everything is going. But it comes to us differently. It can come to you perfectly. You know, you could have yours perfect, or what we call perfect. And it could be the other way. And you just have to move on. You just have to live with it. As hard as it is, you have to live with it. And every day that I see her do something she wasn't able to do before, it gives me hope. It makes me feel good. And when I look into her eyes and she looks at me and smiles, I feel like, okay. She knows I'm doing my best for her. She knows we're doing our best for her. And you sort of console yourself every day because there's not much you can do. There's not much you can do. You just console yourself. You console yourself every day and you move on. Because as mothers, we're strong. We're tough. If we can go through pain to birth these babies, we can go through anything. And that is what I tell myself every day. I have to constantly remind myself that. I have to constantly tell myself, there's a reason why you're going through this. There's a reason why it's you. And other people would learn from your story. You can't possibly give up. You're not just going to get up one morning and be like, I'm not your mother anymore. It doesn't work like that. It's not a contract you signed that you can just be like, you know what, let me call my lawyer and dissolve this contract. It doesn't work like that. This is something that God has given you for your lifetime. You have to be there. You have to be your best at it. Every day I struggle with, should I just be a mom only, or should I have a career? I am worth more than just being a mom and changing diapers. There's more to me. I could do more stuff, you know, and you're like, okay, what can you even do? How are you going to? The guilt of leaving your child and something happens because you were pursuing a career. And the pain of being with your children and not pursuing a career. Sometimes when I hear the word strike a balance between motherhood and career, I'm like, there's no balance anywhere. You just live with it. Forget what people tell you. There's no balance. You're sacrificing one for the other at some point, and you have to deal with the guilt. Every day I have to sit next to the computer and do a blog post at 1 a.m. in the night. I'm sacrificing sleeping or being around my kids to go do that blog post. But nobody knows I'm posting 1 a.m. in the night. And then you see people that come out and be like, oh, motherhood is just, you know, my kids are this, I do my this, oh, my business, my career. Shh. Don't let that put you under pressure. The world is already so much under pressure. Every day you want to attain a certain level of success because you believe that is what success is measured by. Every day you're like struggling to find a balance. You want to be successful as a human being, which is important. At the same time, you want to be there for your kids. You want to make it work. And you want to make sure you're doing your best for these kids and live your life to the fullest. So my mindset is staying positive no matter what, staying strong no matter what, and moving forward, believing that everything is going to be fine at some point. Everything happens for a reason. Pastor Nick, the guy without arms and legs, every time I see his videos, I imagine what his mom went through, how she coped all those years, and how she was able to groom him up to the confident man that he is today. And with that, I draw strength and be like, I could do same for my daughter. I could do same for my kids. And in the end, everything is going to be fine.